Hello race fans, Peter Mackay here, welcoming you to the Ricmotech SportsCar series live here on Apex Racing TV. I'm joined in the commentary box by my Texan colleague Austin Knight, and bringing you all the wonderful images and graphics today will be Dennis Branch in the booth. We're here at the wonderful Watkins Glen in New York State for some multi-class sports car racing with TCR cars from Audi and GT4 cars from BMW and Porsche. Austin, how are you this evening, and what do you expect from tonight's action?
Howdy. It's great here in the Glen. I'm expecting a lot of action here on track, especially in this packed GT4 field. A lot from the Porsches, not a lot of multi cars as we were expecting at the start of this series, but hey, let me tell you, it's going to be an absolute madhouse. 25 GT4s going at it, as well as some Audis going on behind them.
Well, we might only have two BMW M4s in the field tonight, but we do have a track guide of Watkins Glen in the BMW M4. So let's take a look at that, and you can see how to get round this wonderful Watkins Glen International Raceway.
Welcome, everyone, to Watkins Glen International, located here in Watkins Glen, New York. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this beautiful 3.4-mile road course. The track became a permanent circuit all the way back in 1956 and has hosted some of the most memorable moments in motorsports history since. Well, let's get ready to provide you your track guide as we head up the front straightaway here. On the left, you'll see the main grandstands area. To the right, the pit area. As we come up across that flagman stand here, heading down this very fast entry into what's known as the elbow, turn one. Very tough corner to get right here. As we come up off the exit, we're going to use as much of that track surface as possible to get a good run up this very long stretch here through the S's and up onto the back straightaway. Seems like a simple section here through these S's, but it's speed with cars around you. It's very narrow through that section. As we come out onto the back stretch, take a little curve there, heading down into what's known as the bus stop, or the inner loop here at Watkins Glen. Very tough, a lot of undulation through this section. Can really get that car loose on you. Coming down into turn 5 here, the carousel, or the outer loop as they refer to it. Very fast exit down into a difficult, long, sweeping left-hander. It is slightly banked, which helps. You can get the throttle pretty early there at apex, let the car track out, and head down the chute here into what's known as the toe, or the toe of the boot. The boot being this section of the course that from an aerial view actually looks like a boot. Up out of 7, we're going to head down to the heel, turn 8. A lot of overtaking happens right here on this entry. Get that car rolling right down to apex, come back to throttle on exit, and head up the hill here for the return to the cup section of the course. This is very tough here. A lot of off-camber section. Back end wants to get loose, gets light right there, as you can see. And then coming up into my favorite section, turn 10 on the course. Bit of a banked entry and a banked exit. Get some good speed down into this final turn of turn 11, so you can come up onto the front straightaway and take advantage of the slipstream here as you head back down to turn 1. There you go. There's your track guide for beautiful Watkins Glen here in New York. Thank you for being with us.
Well, there you go then. That is how you make your way around this Watkins Glen International Raceway at the wheel of a BMW GT4. Let's take a look then how our championship is looking in the top category with the GT4 machines. And it's Mike Dam, the number 93, the Canadian, who is leading the way very, very marginally on 103 points from the Estonian Eero Noomen on 97. In third place is our teenager, newly found teenager, Elvis Rankin in the number 54, Lil King Racing Machine on 93 points, Jacob Beasley on 71 as well. Let's have a look at the TCR I've got GT4 back as well. So Chris Thorman in the number 60, he'll be on 68 points. Arthur Chan, 63. Paul Gibson, 62. Tyler Shiflett on 47. Cameron Martineau on 45. And David Payton on 44. Jennifer McDonald on 39 points alongside her series organiser Kevin Ford and Trent Brown. Tony Chow on 38 points. Jeff Jacobs is on 35. Cameron Bidwell and Derek Holland are both on 34. And DJ Alessandri is on 32. Why don't you show us how the TCR runners are looking, Austin?
Yeah, TCR class is a lot smaller, but TCR pros Kevin Ladd leads out that field, followed by Jim List, Chad Parker, Evan Wood, Kevin Carsile, John Ford, and Matthew Madigan is our bottom 17, 11 to 17 cars. But the top 10, I believe we have those stats. I believe you do. Yes. Brandon Whitworth is standing on top of the TCRs at 94 points. I had Matthew Warner at 88 with Henderson Knox in third with 83. He's tied with Eric Violette for GTD Esports Racer. That's going to be an interesting fight to watch throughout this race. They're followed by Kevin Lander, Bobby Childs, Edgar Sentinelli, Mike Key, Tyler Vickery, Riley Downey in 10th. And that is our championship standings for our TCRs. Now, our TCR grid, not as big as that field, so watch for some championship movement.
We will indeed. So our drivers are just out on track right now, qualifying in their 15-minute qualifying session, and we're looking at Elvis Rankin, the number 54 in the Porsche, getting the tail of that rear-wheel drive machine just wiggling on the exit of the corner there. So he's clearly pushing on, is young Elvis. Of course, 13 years old, just had his 13th birthday, so just a new teenager. And well, he is impressed in a number of our series here in the Ricmotech sim racing paddock, in the GT class and also in the classic series. He had a very entertaining run in the MX-5 Miata a couple of weeks ago. So we've had reports that during practice the track temperature has been pretty high, over 100 degrees, but now starting to cool back down again as a bit of cloud cover comes over here at Watkins Glen. And if you're new to watching sim racing, first of all, welcome. We hope you enjoy the broadcast. And you might think it's strange for us to talk about the weather conditions, but they are vitally important here. As you see on the right hand side of your screen, 34 degrees Celsius track temperature, and the track temperature is vitally important to the amount of grip, just as it is in the real world. So that is all simulated here on iRacing. So when the track temperature gets too high, it chews the tires up and also makes the track quite greasy, and therefore reduces the grip. So a lower track temperature is always welcome by the drivers. Speaking of drivers, Austin, you've turned a few laps on around this Watkins Glen circuit. What's the trick to getting the lap time out of these GT4 cars around here?
I've never actually driven a lap around in a GT4 car, but I've done it in a single seater, and I can tell you the lap times here are pretty much consistency and not going into the grass and just full-on commitment. Here at the Glen, especially in this boot layout, you have to just be so precise going into these corners, braking at the right point and not locking up these brakes. And the good thing about these GT4 cars and TCRs is that they all have ABS, and so they aren't going to be locking up these brakes unless they turn off ABS right there. But it's got to be consistent on the brakes, not braking too hard, and just letting the car roll through these corners so you can just push it as much as you can, and staying away from these walls.
Yeah, these TCRs are quite a unique challenge. The car on screen right now, the Audi RS3 LMS. And if you're familiar with the Audi RS3 road car, the road car actually runs a very typical Audi 2.5. Whoop, as Travis Schwenke gets good save. Yes, Kevin Carlisle putting it on pole with a 2-minute flat in the TCR car. That's very impressive. Just 3.5 seconds off the GT4 lead. So yeah, these Audi RS3s, the road car runs a 2.5 litre 5-cylinder turbo motor, makes the most beautiful sound. but the TCR car has to run the specification engine, a 2-litre 4-cylinder motor, so slightly different, but still pushing 350 horsepower in those TCR cars, and they're light as well, most importantly, so that really helps around the racetrack, of course. But actually, it looks like lap traffic is not going to be so much of an issue today with the 60-minute race and such a closeness in lap time between the GT4 runners and the TCR runners.
Yeah, TC4s and TCRs, they've always been fairly close together. I believe the TCRs, though, do have a BOP in place, so that keeps them all bunched up with each other. And we sometimes see the TCRs jump ahead of a GT4, but that GT4 would have to be in a stricken state before the TCR has that advantage. The GT4 is much faster in the straight line. We just saw a big save from Weatherholt right there. Just showing you some of the instability here in the Porsches.
Yeah, the Porsche mid-engine machine, 3.8 litres with a flat six, my apologies, or straight six is the BMW. Flat 6-cylinder engine, mid-engined, lovely balance, but as you said, Austin, when it does go, it can snap on you. It's got quite a short wheelbase as well, so that can make it a little bit twitchy, but it's a lovely car, very closely related to the Cayman GT4 road car. So if you're familiar with the Cayman GT4 road car, the GT4 race machine is incredibly similar. It's more or less, it's very, very close to the road car, but just with a little bit of weight taken out of it. Same power, same gearbox, etc. And that's very much the formula of global GT4 racing. We do have a couple of BMWs in the GT4 field, just two, I believe, one of which is Kevin Ford, our series organizer. Here he is on screen, representing our sponsor, Ricmotech high performance sim racing equipment. That's a very good looking car. BMW is a little bit different. It's a front engine machine. It's twin turbocharged as well, 3-litre twin turbocharged straight 6 engine, and it's a little bit more spiky, I found. Actually, a good friend of mine actually owns one of these cars in real life, and it's a little bit of a handful, particularly in the wet, like we have here in Scotland. So I'm not sure how much that actually translates over into the race car, but maybe that's why we haven't seen so many drivers picking this car over the Porsche.
Well, we've had a season to get used to the Porsche. The BMW just came out this season. Some drivers prefer the BMW, some drivers prefer the Porsche. I can just tell you that these cars are very similarly balanced, and they fit different driving styles. The BMW, a more, I would say, a more stable car around tight, twisty circuits, as the Porsche is more suited for flowing circuits.
Yeah, and certainly that's one thing you could describe Watkins Glen. It does have I always find with Watkins Glen here in New York, you can just get some lovely rhythm going as well as some lovely sweeping corners. This one here called the Chute. We're now heading down into the boot section, which was added to Watkins Glen back in 1971. And it's still used to this day. Of course, the Watkins Glen 6 hours of the Glen are very much a jewel in the crown of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, and also the Michelin Pilot Challenge, which is exactly what this class setup that we've got today, with GT4 cars, which would go in the Grand Sport class, and it's known as the ST class, but it's TCR cars. So we've got a kind of a replica, if you like, of the Michelin Pilot Challenge here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. So we've even got a Texan sponsor to keep you happy, Austin.
Hey, I'm always happy to see the great state of Texas sponsoring this stuff, or companies located in the great state of Texas sponsoring this stuff.
Yeah, quite right indeed. So 11 minutes, just ticking over 12 minutes of this session. We're looking at Eero Nom in the number 78 from Estonia, the neighbouring country to Finland, and of course Estonia now the reigning World Rally champion Ott Tänak, who drives for the Hyundai team. he is also from Estonia. So a very much a motor racing nation, and it looks like we're maybe getting our first ever visit for the World Rally Championship to Estonia this year, and I'm sure Eero will be very happy about that, and I'm sure he'll also be happy about his pace in qualifying. Just 0.2 of a second of our championship leader, Mike Dam, in the number 93 machine. Elvis Rankin right there as well, just 0.4 behind. And looking at the top 5, covered by just 0.4 of a second, this is going to be another tight battle in the GT4 field.
Yeah, I believe Aeronam is actually, he's on a flyer of a lap. His sector 2 lap time, purple, and he's looking all locked down right now. Coming across the final turn, bringing it all the way out to the wall, just a little bit onto the grass. That is still going to count right now. Aeronam across the line, 1:64 behind Mike Dam.
So he improves his lap time, so that's a personal best for him, but just still stays in second position. So Mike Dam still, or as he's known, Mike Jean-Claude Van Damme, according to his iRacing profile, he currently sits in pole position. And we saw Mike Dam running in the official Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada a couple of weeks ago at this very circuit, so in this very car as well. So he's got a lot of track time in the little 718 GT4 Cayman. We're looking at Tyler Shiflett, the number 24, on screen right now. He stays 9th, and that's his qualifying run over, as Martineau sets his fastest time of the session with a 1:56.6. So drivers still improving their times, so there is a track out there to go out and set a quick time, Austin.
It is indeed, and I believe his time was actually invalidated as qualifying is coming to an end right now. Only one car, well, no cars on track, and well, this is a rare form. You don't see time left in qualifying, and everyone's in the pits.
Yeah, that is bizarre, actually, especially with some drivers improving their times in the latter stages. Sometimes you do see drivers perhaps parking up if the track temperature goes up significantly enough that improving the lap time is impossible. But yes, you're right, Austin, it's quite unusual. Reminds me of when the qualifying format changed in Formula 1 and there was drivers not going out on track and all the people who had paid to be there at the Australian Grand Prix had no cars to watch. So we do apologise for that, folks. We will be ready to go in just a brief moment. So we wait then. The session has now been advanced, so our iRacing Porsche 911 safety car is now there waiting for the runners. So, starting on pole position will be Mike Dam in the number 93, alongside the Estonian Eero Nom. In third will be Elvis Rankin, with fourth Colin Weatherholt joining him on row 2. Row 3 will be Cameron Martineau and Travis Schwenke. 7th will be Paul Gibson, and 8th, Jacob Beasley. 9th will be Tyler Shiflett, and joining him on row 5 will be Chris Thorman. And in 11th is Cameron Bidwell. And Kevin Ford are in the BMW, the number 32, in 12th spot. 13th is Jen McDonald in the number 99 machine alongside Anthony Kernan in 14th. 15th will be David Payton alongside Jeff Jacobs. 17th will be Arthur Chan alongside Geordie Fike. 19th, Leon Wright alongside Derek Holland. 21st will be Ross Ruddick alongside Trent Brown. 23rd will be Brennan Haran alongside Matthew Ghosh. 25th, rounding out the end of the GT4 field will be Chris Shieldsmith and Greg Brockway. And in TCR, we have Matthew Warner on pole position in class, Kevin Carlisle in second, Brandon Whitworth third, Matthew Madigan fourth, Ken Ladd fifth, Henderson Knox sixth, and Tyler Vickery in seventh, alongside Edgar Sanchilli in eighth.
Yeah, we actually got some messages. One of them was from Mr. Horn. It was actually Brennan Haran, according to you, but he said, don't forget it's pronounced Horns. Doubt you'll need it unless I crash. Well, this pace lap's about you, Mr. Horn.
There we are. I'm very, very sorry, Mr. Horn. As as you can imagine, with my second name, Mackay, I've heard all kinds of different pronunciations. So I feel your pain, my friend, and do apologise. Mr. Horn, you're about to get more camera time than you bargained for, I'm afraid. So here we go then. Our iRacing Porsche 911 pace car pulls away with a field of, well, as many people call it, the baby Porsche 911, the 718 Cayman. But of course, the difference between the 911 and the Cayman is that the Cayman is, of course, mid-engined, and the 911 has the engine right in the rear of the car, giving it very unique characteristics indeed. So Mike Dam in the Crypto-G orange racing machine. Mike is running right up at the top of the GT4 standings at the moment. Man from Ontario with over 170 official wins here on iRacing. Let's see if he's going to add to that tally tonight.
Yeah, Mike Dam, one of the most experienced drivers we have here on iRacing, and he is very, well, he is up there in iRating. He's up there in race wins, especially in this field, rivaling the best. I know Aero Nam right behind him is also one of our top drivers as well, but right behind him in third place, he's fairly new to iRacing and new to being a teenager, but definitely showing a lot of pace and a lot of promise. It is Elvis Rankin.
Yeah, Elvis has just impressed me so much since I started commentating here in the Ricmotech series, and we have 3 different varieties of championship which all alternate in weeks, and we'll tell you all about those at the end of the program. But we have the SportsCar series, which you're watching right now, we have the Classic Sprint series, and also the GT Challenge. And Elvis has been a very keen participant in all of those, and I have to say, as I said in the intro to the program, his race here at Watkins Glen in the Miatas a couple of weeks ago, well, that was some exhilarating entertainment as well, and he had a very strong win in the GT3s in the GT Challenge last time out, so I'm sure his confidence will be riding high, starting from third on the grid.
Yeah, he's definitely looking good at third as we take a look at our TCR field. A bit farther back than the GT4s. They're doing that to space out. And, well, separate these guys on the start. We can check in with the GT4s and TCRs on our mini-map. You can see where each field is spread out and how far they're spread out and what's their strategy for the starts.
Yeah, well, it's be careful into turn 1, I would say, is the strategy. Of course, they do have anti-lock brakes, these GT4 cars, which is very, very helpful when the brakes and tyres are cold. So we will be going shortly. We're just heading around the final sector here. The Porsche 911 pace car will pull away a big grid tonight of GT4 cars, which is excellent to see, and proving that it's one of the most popular categories here on iRacing.com. So our pace car pulls away, and we are about ready to go, waiting for the green flag, waiting for Mike Dam to hit the loud pedal and open up 425 horsepower in his Cayman GT4. And we are green here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series here at Watkins Glen as they head down to turn 1, the 90, and Mike Dam has got away cleanly, but Elvis Rankin moves up into second place ahead of Aero Nam.
It was a great start by Elvis. He timed that perfectly and just rode the bumper of Mike Dam to just seamlessly pull ahead of Aero Nam into second place. Stormin and Bidwell, little bit of action happening in the S's, but all the GT4s have made it through there cleanly as we got a nice drag race happening on the back straight. Let's go racing in the TCRs as Carsall and Whitworth lead out the field.
Great start from your pole sitter Kevin Carlisle in the 727 Audi, the Apex Racing Team machine. We won't miss him out on track with that bright pink paint scheme as they head down into turn 1 of the 90. A little bit of a wiggle there. Of course, these are front wheel drive machines, require a different technique than our GT4s, but everyone through safely, and we know with touring cars there are going to be some really good pack racing there, some good drafting battles between our 7 TCR runners as they head through the S's safely on towards the bus stop. Now back with our GT4s. We're already in the boot section. We've gone through the toe of the boot. We're now heading towards the heel of the boot. This short the right-hander down from 5th gear down to about 3rd gear here, tucking the nose in, trying to get it tucked and then back onto the power. And Mike Dam leading confidently from Elvis Rankin so far.
Yeah, first lap is always tricky here. Not if you're leading, but mostly if you're in the midfield. A lot of opportunities to descend it into a few of these corners, but especially in this 1 hour and 15-minute race, it's about concentration and preserving the car for future moves instead of going all out on lap 1. Now, you do want to be out near the front, especially going into the pit stop, because you always want to be out front, less cars to avoid, especially if there's an incident. But you can already see some groups starting to form out front. Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin starting to pull away from Weatherholt and Schwenke.
Yep, and as you'll see, our SDK overlay software on the top right-hand side of your screen, you'll see our track map. A very useful tool to see where your favourite drivers are out on track at the moment. You'll see the blue icons, those are GT4 cars, and the grey icons, those are TCR cars. So you can watch as the GT4 leaders make their way through the race and if they have any lap traffic to worry about. But it's Mike Dam leading it away confidently, but Elvis Rankin is right on the gearbox with Aero Nom settling in behind. And Austin at this stage with an hour and 15 minutes of action, 1 pit stop. This is, as you said, this is the sort of time that you want to just get through the first couple of laps clean and then be able to settle into your rhythm, because there are plenty, as you quite rightly said, there are plenty of opportunities for the driver behind to pull off a bit of a dive bomb maneuver.
Yeah, I've seen, in my racing days, I've seen a lot of guys try to go for those positions on lap 1, and whenever I was racing on them, those guys usually caused a lot of incidents and got a reputation around the paddock. But with these guys here on iRacing, especially in this series, they like to take the time, figure out the speed and pace of the guy in front of them before actually launching that move. They know it's a long race, it's not a sprint race, and they have time to settle into a groove, try to pull away from the cars behind and not risk a multi-car incident.
No, that is not what you want to do, because here at Watkins Glen, those walls are close. This is an old school circuit. A lot of the drivers, I was speaking to Ryan DL, a fellow Scotsman and Rolex 24-hour Daytona winner. He was saying that he just loves Watkins Glen. It's so old school, it's such a challenge, and if you get it wrong, you're in big trouble, because the walls are just so close here. So you're right, you don't want to get into those incidents early. Now, let's talk about pit stop strategy, because actually these cars, both in the GT4 and in the TCR class, if they had their full fuel tank, they could actually make this hour and 15-minute race without even having to fill the full tank. They could go for about an hour and 30 minutes on a full tank. But in this series, the fuel cell is limited to 45%. So that means that they have to come in for a pit stop at some point during the race to fill up with fuel. Now, whether they take tyres or not, that is what will remain to be seen. I'm not expecting them to, Austin, but it'll be interesting to see if anyone throws the dice and has a try at that.
If somebody tries tires, he's going to be having a very bad outlap. As we're looking at Schwenke, he's looking down to the inside as Weatherholt took that regular line. It's very hard to send a move into the boot, but heading into the toe, this is probably the prime overtaking point on the brakes in these cars. Weatherholt is sitting onto that racing line, defending from Schwenke. But as we were talking about with the pit stops, tires, if you're going out on cold tires, hopefully you know what you're doing. You're going to have more grip than the other cars around you, but on that outlap, you got to make sure that you shoot that car a little bit more cautiously and a little bit more gently before you go all crazed missile on somebody else. So I just believe it's going to be fuel and go. No risk of a tire falling off the rest of the people. As we're looking at our battle for 10th, it's Bidwell Kernan Ford. Our BMW is actually out there. You get to see the size difference of that BMW to the Porsche.
Yeah, it is. It's and to believe it, that's the little brother of the M8 GTE, which is a true monster. as well. Yeah, Kevin Ford representing the BMW, and you made a great point, Austin. Of course, although the M4 GT4 has been around for quite a while now, in the real world it's brand new to iRacing just a few weeks ago, whereas the 718 GT4 has about a season's head start, about 12-week head start, and that makes a big difference here on the service. So I'm sure as people get more time behind the wheel of that car, you'll see it being used a little bit more often. Riding on board with Cameron Martineau, it's the number 16, going past of Travis Schwenke, the German-born driver, coming through at the bus stop there. That's a tricky manoeuvre to make there. And of course, with these GT4 cars, Austin, they actually, it's bizarre to say that a car with 425 horsepower is underpowered, but relative to their weight, it is a little bit underpowered. They're only 100 kilograms lighter than the road car, so 1,340 kilos, these machines. But they actually, so what that means is you've really got to try and keep the momentum up. So dive bomb manoeuvres, they've got to be considered, because if you do take on too much of an overtake, you can really slow your momentum, kill your momentum, and you have to be very careful and plan where to make those overtaking moves.
Yeah, but that's the glory of GT4 racing. Underpowered cars racing against each other. It's a great series to get into sports car racing. That's why we see a lot of amateur drivers cutting their teeth in the GT4 class or the TCR class. Very underpowered cars racing against each other, but that's the beauty of this stuff. It teaches very good racecraft, very good knowledge. Sure, most drivers cut their teeth in karting, but there's just some skills you just learn naturally other than regular moves that you learn in karting, and that's just preserving momentum, as Elvis Rankin takes a big hit of that curve.
Yeah, he's rattling it over there and putting a lot of pressure on Mike Dam, not allowing him to get away. And I have to say, I'm having a bit of a deja vu moment here, Austin, because this is exactly what we saw in the Mazda MX-5 race in the Classic Sports Car Series 2 weeks ago between these two very drivers, Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam. They've got a little bit more power to play with today, and of course a mid-engine machine, but the result exactly the same. It just shows you that the cream always rises to the top.
Yeah, Mike Dan and Ellis Rankin, those two drafting with each other, just staying with each other, not pushing out any moves. They're pulling a gap to the rest of the field, and this is absolutely playing into both those drivers' hands. I expect after this pit stop, we're going to start watching these two start throwing a few moves at each other. And
yeah, it'd be interesting to see when... Sorry, go on, Austin.
As we've been covering the GT4s, let's take a look at what's happening in our TCR field.
Yeah, let's have a look at that. So, it's still Kevin Carlisle out front in the 727 machine. I have to say, these Audis, they do look good. I have to say, I was very lucky. A couple of years ago, I did own an Audi or RS3 road car, but the hatchback model, this is the saloon model, as we call it in Europe, and it was an absolute dragster of a car in a straight line. It was for 400 horsepower, it was fast. But these TCR machines are really special as well, and you see these TCR machines used in the real world in the World Touring Car Championship, but also you see them in endurance racing as well at the Nürburgring and places like that. So it's a very versatile car, and for Audi, they have sold hundreds of these cars to customers to go racing all over the world. And actually, this car in particular has changed Audi Sport's outlook on customer racing cars. So the wealthy amateurs taking part in motorsport. And now there you go on the dashboard, Audi Sport Customer Racing. That is now very much a revenue-generating division of the Audi company, rather than just a marketing department. So this particular car here, this RS3 LMS, is just as popular in the real world as it is here in sim racing.
Yeah, the Audi Sport Customer Racing platform is a great platform to get people out on the track and discover a few new talent, and as you said, a very good revenue source. And I can tell you a lot of that revenue is being spent on research and development for new Audi Sport Customer Racing cars, new Audi cars, and I want to say Audi's Formula E program.
Yes, it is. That's where Audi are particularly spending the money right now. Actually, last week. As we see Ken Ladd, is he going to have a little look here? Oh, squeezes over there. Ken Ladd in the 49 machine, raising awareness for epilepsy awareness, and is Ken Ladd there. That's what the paint scheme he's running on that car on the 49 machine.
We're looking at Henderson Knox. He's got a good run on Ladd. Actually, no. Knox is getting a run on by Vickery as Ladd, after moving down to the inside right now, he's around the outside, and Madigan going into the bus stop, and what a move by Ladd.
That is, yes, he might have made that look very smooth and easy, but my goodness me, that is not easy to go effectively round the outside there, coming into the bus stop. Perhaps here in the TCR machines, let's get a replay of that then. Talk us through this one and how he set this one up, Austin.
Well, it was really given to him. He had the run, he had the draft, and Madigan defended it onto the inside, and then just in the brake zone, Madigan broke early, and Ladd just swung around the outside very late on the brakes. It was very easy to set up, but just going through that bus stop chicane, you have to be right on the money to avoid any problems. As we see Ladd and Madigan going side by side into the boot and scoop boogie here at the heel, but Ladd staying ahead of Madigan, and while they're battling so hard right now, that's allowing Carlisle and Whitworth to pull away as 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th are having a grand old time.
Yeah, if you're Carlisle and Whitworth, you're going to be just having a little look in your mirror going, oh yes, go on boys, have a big old punch up and we'll just scamper away, we'll just escape, because of course with these cars they don't whoa! Madigan has a massive oversteer moment, and oversteer in a front wheel drive car is scary. That's for sure. This is really exciting, and look at that, and Henderson Knox looking up the inside, going into the 90.
Contact!
Oh, a little bit of a hip check there with Madigan, and can he make it run? No, Madigan's able to take the position back from Henderson Knox. Now Henderson Knox he'll be wanting to fight his way up the field here, because he's a championship contender in the TCR category, so he's in the draft now of Matthew Madigan. Let's see if he can try and put the move, and look, at all the while Ken Ladd is escaping.
And Madigan defending onto the inside this time, and here comes Knox looking around the outside, stop aside to go, but Knox not holding up as much, but Madigan held it around the outside, kept Knox all the way to the apron of the grass, and that was upsetting his suspension a lot, as Vickery and Warner are watching this. Warner looking around the outside of Vickery as they enter the boot, and that's just the wrong way to go around that corner.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? And you've got to be so precise in these cars. You cannot make a mistake, because you just don't have the horsepower or the grip coming out of the corner to really get the power down and recover from a mistake. Speaking of, look at this. We've got Mike Dam running at the front, 93, with Elvis Rankin, the number 1, right behind. And well, I tell you what, this is impressive from Mike Dam to hold Elvis Rankin at bay behind him. And Aeronom, he's just sitting there patiently right now as well. He's been hovering around, managing that gap at about 1.3 seconds from the leader for basically since the start of the race. And do you think, to me, Austin, it seems like maybe he's just keeping a safe distance between these two, and just sort of quite happy to play rear gunner and just watch what's going on and wait until later in the race to make his attack.
I've seen Elvis race on here and in real life. I've been in contact with him because I actually wanted to see his progress going up in the single-seater ladder. That was because he's shown a little bit of interest in some more road racing than his oval racing that he's been doing, and he actually does this a lot. He likes to sit behind the leader, follow him, get in his mirrors, and try to force some mistakes. And Mike Dam's been a bit loose in these following corners, and as he's just following him, Aeronom's starting to catch up to Dam and Rankin.
Yeah, Aeronom is definitely, make no mistake, he is very much involved in this battle, but I think, as you say, got a similar strategy to Elvis Rankin, just biding his time. We've got still got an hour left of this race, 15 minutes down, and we've completed 9 laps so far. As we look at our track map on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see that there's still plenty of gap. So it doesn't look to me like lap traffic is going to be any kind of issue whatsoever in this race, with the lap time so close between the GT4 and the TCR runners. And also, I tell you what, the standard of field here as well, if you look at the top 15 still covered by less than 20 seconds. Quite impressive indeed as our 3 leaders go in flying formation into the bus stop.
It's been a very clean race. No real incidents between any drivers. A few small hip checks there, but no one's been in the wall. No one's been turned around. No one's been crashed. We do have one car that's off, but that was a self-driver incident where he went off and smacked the wall. But other than that, driver-to-driver racing has been very nice, very clean, and fairly spread out, and very gentlemen with each other.
It is, and that's very much a characteristic of all of the Ricmotech series, where there's brilliant respect between the drivers and also a really good marshalling and stewarding from the series organisers as well, which is such an important part of sim racing series, because of course in the real world, if you're the one picking up the bill for that crash damage, funny enough, that does focus the mind to not get into accidents. But in the sim racing world, of course, there are no at least financial consequences to getting involved in an incident. So you do see quite aggressive driving sometimes. But in this league here, in the Ricmotech series, in all 3 categories, we see hard racing, but clean racing, which is exactly what provides the best entertainment. Speaking of entertainment, Mike Dam, he has got Elvis Rankin on his rear bumper. Now, I think you're absolutely spot on with your observation there, Austin, because I think he was close enough there to have a dive on the brakes, but he's perfectly happy sitting there in Mike Dam's shadow.
Yeah, he's still a young kid, and I'm very happy to see the young ones not be very aggressive. Sure, he was going down for a look every now and then, but really he's just following that line and learning all he can from Mike Dam. And Elvis just dancing in those mirrors, trying to see if Mike will get caught off guard. Now, might not be initially trying to cause a mistake. He might just be sitting back there for comfort, learning the track a little bit better. But if you do have a car in your mirrors and you have a habit of looking into them a lot, it will cause a few mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. Mirror driving, as they call it. And they'll always, you'll hear crew chiefs a lot when they're on the radio to their driver, telling them eyes forward, and not worrying about who's behind you. But very easy for the crew chief to say, very hard for the driver to follow that advice. But also one thing that Elvis Rankin could be doing here, now it's a minimal advantage, but in a race this close, it could make a difference. As we look at Cameron Bidwell in 9th place, as he looks to set up a move right down towards the heel of the boot, and he goes hard on the brakes. Can he get past here? He does. Makes it stick. Does he? Oh, because that's the thing there at that particular corner. It often ends up side by side for a couple of corners. Is that Bidwell? I think, yeah, is going by. I'll give Bidwell in the 156 with Shiflett out in front of him, and now it's a 3-way battle with Tony Kernan in there and Kevin Ford in the BMW factoring in as well. But yeah, coming back to Elvis Rankin, although it's a minimal benefit, he may also be playing the fact that he can actually be ever so slightly saving a bit of fuel, because all the time he's spending on the draft of Mike Dam, his car is got a little bit less air resistant, because of course Mike Dam's car is just punching a big hole in the air for him, as we see Tony Kernan take a big dive up the inside there of Cameron Bidwell and makes it stick. Good move there going into the 90, doesn't lose too much time either. Yeah, but I think Elvis Rankin might be saving a little bit of fuel as well, and that's another added small benefit that you can get by just shadowing Mike Dam. Mike Dam's so quick that he's not going to worry about trying to get past him, and then when we get to the pit stop, that saved fuel will be able to save those vital tenths of a second in the lane. So we've got 11 laps down of this race here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Let's have a look at the TCR runners then, and Brandon Whitworth, the number 42, battling away with Kevin Carlisle, the Apex Racing Team driver. Brandon Whitworth doing a very grand job. He runs an I-rating of 3,400, which is very impressive indeed, and has been on the iRacing surface since 2012, so very much an experienced sim racer. And this is a great battle that's emerging between Whitworth and Carlisle as they head through the S's side by side almost there, drafting one another. And you've got to think that Brandon Whitworth is sat behind Carlisle long enough, and he's setting up a move here. He's right in the draft, and he'll be looking to make a move into the bus stop. They're almost bump drafting down the back straight here as we head into the bus stop, but Carlisle able to keep defend, but a little bit of a wobble there going over the curb. Through they go then towards the outer loop and down towards the chute.
Yeah, you see a lot of bump drafting actually in TCR, so that round nose, they can easily do that. It's a bit square out that front, and they have a good contact patch to go at. As we look at Tyler Shiflett, he's looking down to the inside, heading into turn one. Going very wide is Bedell, and he can carry the speed off that exit, but Shiflett just had the line, and they're going to go side by side through these world famous Watkins guns as they get into each other. Shiflett hits into the wall, and he gets collected by another car.
Oh dearie me, and as I think Kevin Ford coming on the radio saying, oh dearie me, Anthony Kernan, he's turned his Cayman GT4 into touring specification. So actually, if you're familiar with the value of collectible Porsches, he's in fact increased the value there by turning it to touring specification by removing the rear wing. But yeah, it's funny you said the absolute classic S's section at Watkins Glen. Well, as he gets loose, no rear wing, of course, losing downforce. But yes, the S is going too wide through the S's. 9 times out of 10 ends up in a monumental accident, and that's exactly what happened there, because it just does not fit going up there, and often you do see incidents there. So although it's a classical section, there is a big book of classic incidents there as well.
Now that's kind of what makes those S's world famous and classical, because the world famous corners are always a challenge. They're never the easy ones.
No, definitely not. And of course, it's a little bit like going up a hallway as well, because the barriers are right there. It's almost like a street track for a very brief amount of time. But back at the front, well, it's just there's just perfection at the front here with Mike Dam in the 93 machine, and that lovely orange and black paint scheme. And actually, he's interesting. He runs an orange and black paint scheme because the number 93 is run by the reigning MotoGP World Champion Marc Marquez, who also runs a 93, and he drives or rides an orange and black bike, the Repsol Honda. So interesting. I'm sure it's just coincidence, but Elvis Rankin stalking him as well, and if he's able to just sit in the shadow of Mike Dam here comfortably, he can save tyre life as well. He can also save that ever so slight bit of fuel, which can just give him that edge when they get to the lane. It'll be interesting to see if they differ in pit strategy at all.
It definitely is coincidence. He is driving for Cryptology Orange Racing, so the Orange might be a subdivision of the Cryptology Racing team. And it's a great color, and hopefully Marc Marquez is doing all right and gets back on a bike very soon after that just massive crash he had this weekend.
Yeah, we do wish him all the best. He's had a lot of big incidents in his day, but this is one of the bigger ones, so we do wish him very well indeed. Looking at Jen McDonald on the screen in the number 99 machine, she's currently sitting in 12th place in her BTL Motorsports Porsche Cayman.
Now Jennifer is sitting in 12th. They've had a good day up from where they qualified, but they just only by one spot. Just a little bit of race rundown. Biggest mover in the field, I'm going to have to say, as the car ahead of her, David Payton. He's up 4 spots.
A good move there from David Payton, and it's interesting. We always talk about the Hard Charger Award, where the driver who moves up the most positions in the race. Actually, Austin, I'm a huge fan of the Australian V8 Supercar Championship, who had their second round of the return of their season at Sydney last weekend, and they have an award called the Dunlop Hard Charger Award. But amongst the drivers, they actually quietly call it the well, it's a rude word they use, but they said it's the bad qualifier award, basically. I won't say what the real description is.
Start at the back, make up your way through the field.
Yeah, so Brandon Whitworth, he's been trying to put this move together for a couple of laps now, right on the back bumper of, and actually making contact with the back bumper of Carlisle as they head through down towards the heel of the boot. Is Brandon Whitworth going to have a little look here? He does. He shows one of those LED headlamps in the mirror, just saying, I'm here, don't forget about it, as he mirrors Carlisle's every move as they head into the final section here of this Watkins Glen International Raceway, using all of the exit room coming out of the corner there, and then back on the gas, up the gearbox, and then just floating this TCR car around the quick left-hander, and then transitioning to the right-hander, making sure getting a really good exit onto the start-finish straight. And let's see if Brandon Whitworth can get the momentum to build it up to make a move for the lead.
And the line coming out of the last corner wasn't the best, but he is getting that draft, but it's certainly not close enough to absolutely send a absolute storm heading into turn one. He wants that move pretty much handed to him, and if you're getting close enough heading up through these S's to where you can avoid getting into the bumper of somebody, you've got an absolute run heading for him, and this is what he's doing right now. He got a little bit on the outside, but here he goes, looking down to the inside, side by side. Whitworth, Carlisle in the lead for the TCR category, side by side into the bus stop. They go, and a little bit of a checkup, but is Brandon Whitworth with a beautiful send into the bus stop for P1.
Yeah, kind of a bit of a block pass almost there, Austin. Brandon just made sure he got the car slowed down, didn't take any risk. He knew he then had the line, and Carlisle had to yield, and they very nearly, I think they maybe did make an ever so slight bit of contact, but yeah, there's almost I would say a block pass maneuver there, just parking the car in the apex and taking the place. Good stuff there from Whitworth. Well, back at the front, no change. Mike Dam still leading in his Cryptogy orange racing machine, leading from Elvis Rankin. Aero Norm has dropped back a little bit. He was holding that gap around 1.3, 1.4 seconds from the leader. He's now about 2 seconds from the leader, but still very much in touch. And he's still, obviously, as you can see, he's still there at the back of shot. So he can keep an eye on the leaders, and you never know, he might have something up his sleeve. We don't expect the drivers to take new tyres, so to make them last to the end of this 75-minute race, he might just be keeping his powder dry and his tyres with a good bit of energy left in them for the end of the race.
Yeah, as we're nearing that pit stop cycle, I'm not going to be surprised if we start seeing somebody who's been just following these two might try a undercut or the ever popular overcut, try to save as much fuel as he can and try to go as far as he can, which Elvis, he's been running back behind Dan this entire time. He could definitely go for it. He's been saving some fuel.
Oh, definitely, absolutely. It's I was watching the Porsche endurance documentary the other day, and the Porsche factory driver and Le Mans winner Lawrence Vantor, he says, you know, in an endurance race, when you're behind your rival, you've got an option. You've got two options. One, you can battle away to try and get past them and gain the track position, or you can sit behind them and just save your tyres, save your fuel, particularly just by changing up that little bit earlier, just lifting off that little bit earlier. And that's what Elvis Rankin will be able to do. And when obviously they're matched so close on lap time here, that as Elvis Rankin is right on the back bumper, he could take a look here possibly, but decides against it. So that would indicate that we've seen it a couple of times where Elvis Rankin has been right on the bumper of Mike Dam and decided not to make the move. He's obviously comfy there. I tell you what, Austin, for a man of 13 years of age, he's showing incredible maturity.
Yeah, definitely. He is one of the most mature drivers I've seen on track, and age might be 13, but driver mentality, I would have to say in his 30s. Like, he is very patient for someone his age. Compared to what I was at his age, I was sending moves left, right, and center at somebody.
And you still are.
Not on track, not in real life. On sim, I'll still do it, so don't ever get into a race with me.
So, half an hour gone then in this Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. Speaking of Elite Texans, Austin, who's been your driver of the day so far?
Oh, don't put that pressure on me, but speaking of driver, I think Kevin Ford has had an issue as he's just dropped down the field, and there's a lot of radio chatter going on right now, and I think we might get a replay as cars are heading into the pits. What has happened to Kevin Ford?
Well, let's get a look at it then. Kevin Ford in one of the only two BMW M4s. It looks like he's maybe had a bit of a technical issue. Just the car just starts going straight, and I don't know, but he's making moves there. Maybe just lost a bit of concentration. Maybe he's back moving again, and he's steering, so that's good. But that's a bizarre one there from Kevin Ford. We know that, of course, Kevin puts in a huge amount of work to make the series possible, and there's a lot of background administration that goes into it. And he actually came up into our commentary booth on a couple of occasions before the broadcast to make sure that we had everything that we needed. And I have to say, Austin, I'm sure you'll back me up on this. It's a commentator's dream to have a series organizer like Kevin who gives us so much information. So perhaps he was maybe thinking about something to do with the series there, maybe just lapsed in concentration slightly.
Did I tell Austin to cover this part of the series? Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully, if something bad happens to me, he doesn't cover me. Well, if that was his case, hopefully I don't get docked to pay. And I did have one series organizer, like in the contract, right? If I crash, don't cover it. We crashed the first race, and I crashed on the entire field, so I definitely covered it.
Yes, I think that would be it would be unprofessional not to cover the incident. Well, we can't be too far away from some drivers taking a little look at pit lane. We know that they should be able to go for about 40 to 45 minutes or so on the fuel cell that they have. Let's wait and see.
Well, they're going for it right now.
Here they go. Speaking of, and look at that. Elvis Rankin just follows Mike Dam in. So, this is where we're going to see if Elvis Rankin's fuel saving will make a difference. This is going to be really, really interesting. A race on pit road. This is just as important as any of the laps on track.
Yeah, Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam both heading for the pits. Now, their pit location's a bit different. They do have a spot in between them because Elvis, he started a row back behind Mike Dam. So Mike's going to have a more straightforward exit. Elvis is going to have to pull out just a little bit, but Elvis drops first, and they both go, but it's going to be Mike Dam winning off that race.
Interestingly, they both took tires. I was very surprised to see them both take tires. If you see the cars go up on the jacks, that means they're taking tires. So, but they both exactly the same. And oh, look at that, Jen McDonald there. She's got in there. Remember, this is for position. This isn't lap traffic. Jen McDonald in the 99, and she moves over. Mike Dam, I don't know what they're saying on the radio there, but Jen McDonald giving a lot of room. Really impressive there. And Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin make their way through. So it's game on then. No need for fuel saving now. It's now just a straight fight to the end.
It definitely was about warning them, hey, we're on cold tires. Be a little bit careful. We need to warm these things up. And it's probably just a little bit of sorry for coming out in front of you. We are racing for the lead, and we do have cold tires. So sorry. We'll try to get out of your way. But with all that drama happening out behind it, this is going to allow Aeronam to hopefully get a clean pit stop and pull away ahead of Dam and Rankin.
Let's see if he's going to make that car go a little bit longer. And Shadow, no, he's got a different idea. He might go a bit longer on the if he's maybe not taking tires and deciding to go longer on fuel and running the car on low fuel. Of course, the car is lighter, so we'll need to see what Aeronom decides to do. Before he does, we're going to take a very brief break here on Apex Racing TV from the Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment Sports Car Series, and we're going to take a very quick break for a message from our sponsor, and we will be right back with you. Do not go away. Welcome back to the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, and it's all happening here as Aeronom are now net leader, leading away and going slightly longer on fuel, but he's now getting a little bit hampered by the back end of the TCR field, and with not too much straight line speed performance difference, it's making it difficult for the Estonian to make his way through. So his strategy clearly going a little bit longer, going for the overcut on Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam. So we'll need to see what he does. Of course, remember, we also saw Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam take tyres at the pit stop, which would have cost them time. So maybe Aero is thinking about doing the whole race on the same set of tyres and gaining that time back in pit lane.
Well, he certainly wasn't pushing those tires to their limit, but he's definitely pushing them right now. He is pulled away from the rest of the field behind him, as I swear the rest of the field is going to start going to the pits very soon. But if we just look at the relative between Dam and Rankin, 30 seconds separates him from the two that were battling for the lead. But going into the pits, the average pit lap time, 47 seconds. If Aeronom heads into the pits, he will not come out in the lead.
Look at this though, the GT4 runners now, they're with Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam. Oh, and Mike Dam getting slown up big time there with the two TCR leaders, of course, Carlisle in there in the pink car. Well, that is good. Well, and that also now he's got the pick. He's now got Elvis Rankin bunched in behind. Is that Whittleworth? Is it? I'm not sure. Brandon Whitworth. Sorry, my apologies. Brandon Whitworth in there. So that's the thing with the traffic, the lap traffic. We said it wouldn't be a factor, but actually they've just hit it at just the wrong time. And that pit strategy, this could be the key to this race, Austin, because if you can play the pit strategy and not be hampered by these TCR cars as much, well, it could be critical.
Yeah, Rankin's is falling back with those new tires, not helping him around these TCRs and definitely into that corner. He just didn't have any room to send it. And as we were heading into break, Aeronom ran into those TCRs at exactly the same location.
Yeah, this is fascinating stuff, and all of this, you know, because we've saw over the first half an hour of the race, these guys basically separated by not even tenths of a second, hundredths of a second per lap. So when you get caught by a lap traffic, a half a second just disappears in one corner. So it's amazing. This is what multi-class sports car racing is all about, and why it's so exciting, that there's always something going on. And it's not just your outright lap speed. It's all about how you manage the traffic, either whether if you're a slower car or a faster car. They both are really, really important. And obviously, how you stay out of incidents as well.
Yeah, how you stay out of incident strategy and, well, keeping a consistent pace even in traffic.
Yeah, almost impossible to do. And of course, when you're racing wheel to wheel with somebody and you're in the faster car coming up against slower traffic in a lower class, you can, even if you're really careful, you can kind of almost use them like chess pieces. And you can, if you tell you what, there's nothing more satisfying when you play the pick with a slower car and able to block your competitor in. I have to say that does put a cheeky smile on my face on the very rare occasion I'm able to pull it off.
Yeah, pick and roll is a term used in basketball, and when you pull it off in multi-class racing, ooh, it just puts a big old smile on your face, and pretty much a rite of passage and a sign of a great multi-class racer. And Aeronom staying out once more, as the rest of the GT4 field has pretty much gone to the pits, except for second through fifth, as well as an outlier in Trent Brown. But here comes the rest of the field right now. Third and fourth, Paul Gibson and Weatherholt into the pits.
Yeah, this is interesting. And Nom there was over, he was in the 1 minute 58, which is definitely slower than what Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin are capable of. And lap times are hard to read much into. It could be the tyres, but also could be the lap traffic. It's very, very tricky to determine. But look, there you go. 1 minute 56.9 for Rankin, 1 minute 57.1 for Dam. So they're on fresh tyres, and they've got them up to temperature and pressure. And they're now ever so slightly starting to nibble into that gap. So for Aeronom, we need to see what he's got up his sleeve.
Yep, tire stops here, 15 seconds with tires, so it's not absurdly long with them. They do have hydraulic jacks in these cars. It's not the NASCAR style floor jack that takes absolutely forever to get around the car, and I can tell you in a Mazda MX-5 it takes long to change those tires. But in this car, it's designed to go up on all four jacks, so the tire changes are very fast in this car. That it doesn't have that much of an impact, but I think we're going to see a fuel go for Aeronaut to try to stay in the lead ahead of these guys. But looking at the entire GT4 field, everyone stayed the same about around that 15-second time frame for pit stops. Nobody risking that fuel and go strategy. To my knowledge, yeah, no one.
Here goes Aeronorm in the lane now.
We're going to see what this strategy is going to be. No one around him. Has that clean running paid off? We'll find out as Mike Dam and Rankin coming out of the boot right now and into the chute. What is Aeronom's car doing? About to head into the box. Yeah, he's in the box right now.
I think they're going to jump him. Yeah, just looking at our track map on the right hand side, I think they're going to jump him anyway, no matter what he decides to do. The jacks aren't going up for Aeronom, so yes, he's going just for fuel, it would look like. As we watch him. Yeah, he just, of course, that tank would have been absolutely empty, so he had to fill it right up again, and Dam and Rankin go through. So I tell you what, if you're Aeronom, you had to try something different, just to maybe try and do the jump. So remember, Aeronom now has a full tank. He's now 5.3 seconds back, and I didn't see him take tires there, Austin. Did you see that?
No tires. He didn't go up on those jacks. To my knowledge, we did join him just a little bit later, but those jacks, to my knowledge, did not go up. But Aeronom, he did pull out a massive gap to fourth place. Look at the gap from first to third, and then look at that jump up to fourth. 15 seconds these guys have pulled away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, Aeronom in a very nice position there on the podium. He's kind of in a bit of a no man's land now, or non man's land, you could say. He's
Oh
he's in
my
third place. So
goodness.
sorry, my apologies. Red, yellow card. Flag on the play.
No.
So-
It's not even a flag. That's just like a hand on head. Why?
Off. Sent off. So it's going to be a straight fight then for the win between Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam. They played exactly the same strategy, so the same tyres, the same fuel, everything. So now we're going to see who wants to go for it. Elvis Rankin, well, you got to think that he's playing the game knowing that, well, the prizes are handed out when the checkered flag drops, not with half an hour to go, and he might just do the same thing again. And for Mike Dam, it's almost going to be slightly frustrating as well if you've got this guy just like a fly just swatting away at you all race long. And Mike Dam is just not able to pull away. I'm sure he'll be trying. I've no doubt if you've got a car behind you, you want to pull away. And look at the lap times there. 1 minute 57.469 for Dam. 1 minute 57.429. So 400ths of a second separating them around this long Watkins Glen International Raceway.
Yeah, 2/10 separate them right now. As Dam, good run as always, but I think he's just going to be using that as just his platform. Stay with him and wait for those last moments. I'm going to say around 110 or 105, the last 10 minutes, we're going to see Elvis flip the switch.
Well, we did see him do that in the MX-5 race a couple of weeks ago here in the Ricmotech series, and yeah, he was part of that big pack. It was a pack of 4 or 5 cars from what I remember, and yeah, we just, like you say, you hit the nail on the head there, flick the switch, and then all of a sudden a very different Elvis Rankin just appeared like the Incredible Hulk, and then charged his way to the front, and well, Mike Dam will be hoping that he leaves that switch very, very much truly untouched, because yeah, when Elvis Rankin steps into full qualifying mode, it's well, stand back. But Mike Dam, you've got to take your hat off to him as well, to be really under such pressure for 47 minutes now. He has had Elvis Rankin filling his mirror for the entirety of the race, and he has not blinked once. I don't think we can stress just how impressive that is.
Yeah, I would have had a few looks down the inside by now. But Elvis Rankin playing the long game, and he's definitely seeing all possibilities, and he's just looking for that one that is just presenting the best opportunity towards him. And he's got a great run right now on Mike Dam. Oh my goodness, he's done it right now. As soon as we turned away, Elvis Rankin jumps when you least are expecting it. Elvis Rankin into the lead.
So there he goes, he sets it up. Mike Dam doesn't necessarily make a mistake, just Elvis uses even more room on the exit, gets the power down that little bit early, moves out, gives plenty of room, makes that deep move on the brakes into the 90. You can do that there, you can just, that's a great place to make that move. And well, now we're going to see, does Elvis Rankin have any pace in hand? If practice and qualifying times are anything to go by, they're pretty much matched very, very evenly. So we see this is still this battle has been going on all race long. Kevin Carlisle and Whitworth as well. Oh, goodness me. Heading into the bus stop in these TCR machines as we see the hopping about and pogoing around on the rear end. Of course, remember, they are front-wheel drive, these cars, so they're scampering around at the front end, like almost like they drive like something out of a Tom and Jerry cartoon, because they're just scrabbling for grip all the time. But still, Kevin Carlisle in the 727 Apex Racing Team machine holding strong. But back at the front in GT4, Mike Dam still right behind Elvis Rankin here. So Mike Dam now, he gets the turn to actually have almost a little bit of a rest, relatively speaking. He can now shadow Elvis Rankin, see where he's fast, see where he's maybe a little bit slower than Mike, and see if there's any opportunities to take that position back.
Yeah, we're going to see how patient Mike Dam is compared to Elvis. Is he going to try to just look down every move that he can, or is he going to play a little bit of a catching up game? But first he needs to catch up to the bumper of Elvis, even for a chance. But Elvis already swerving down the straight, breaking off that draft, but not a absurdly across the straight. He is keeping it very minimum to the amount of time as, Arthur Chan, the other Canadian in the field, has had an incident.
Rankin than 0.6 of a second quicker on that lap. So let's get a little bit of a replay of Arthur Chan in the Porsche Cayman. Kevin Ford behind him in the BMW, and just
late brakes.
just gets a little bit late on the brakes, puts one wheel on the grass, and that's enough for a pirouette maneuver. Round he goes. So Mike Dam, immediately, as soon as Elvis Rankin got by, he's able to put a little bit more space between the two. And, well, I'm going to use another motorcycling analogy. Troy Bayliss, former world champion, he always said if someone went past you, you had to snap back straight away. You had to upset their rhythm, particularly if they were a faster rider than you. We saw that deployed to great effect in 2008 at Laguna Seca with Valentino Rossi and Casey Stoner. So let's say Elvis Rankin's Casey Stoner and Mike Dam is Valentino Rossi. Mike Dam really needs to get back on the gearbox of Elvis Rankin and try and upset his rhythm, because it looks like Elvis is possibly just got a little bit of pace in hand to pull away.
Yeah, but with these guys showing very similar pace on track, race pace and qualifying pace, definitely pulling away from the rest of the field. They don't have to worry about anyone else. I think a little game of four-dimensional chess is being played with Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin.
It is, yes. Isn't that amazing? You know, to drive at this speed in these cars and this circuit is incredibly impressive. The lap times are so fast, and I say this in I think almost every broadcast. I think Austin, the great thing about sim racing is that you can, if you've got the software and the hardware at home, you can just turn on your iRacing, get in this car on this circuit, and run in these exact same conditions, and you get a very quick impression of just how talented these drivers are in these cars. Brake check, brake. Oh, that is naughty. That is very, very naughty there from Kevin Carlisle and Brandon Whitworth. Kevin Carlisle, you could see the nose of the car just nudged down ever so slightly, just a little bit of a brake check. That is really, really naughty. For those that don't know what that is, a brake check is when basically the driver in front basically shows the brake lights to try and basically distract or even cause a collision with the car behind. That's not cricket, as we say here in the UK.
I think we're about to see the TCRs get into a spitting match as they get into each other once more. They're bump drafting each other into the bus stop hairpin. Whitworth is definitely not happy about that block that Carlisle just pulled on him down the straight. So might have a little bit of talk after the race with Stewart, but in these closing moments, as they enter the boot, these two are definitely going to go in for a massive scrap of each other, and I hope y'all are ready, because I'm about to get the popcorn out with these guys and just enjoy the show.
I've just put mine in the microwave. This is touring car racing at its best. I have to say, these two drivers putting on a really good show, and that is the thing with touring car racing. Manners are normally a very positive attribute for a human being to have. Not if you're a touring car driver. Often you have to say, I am coming through, and I'm coming through whether you like it or not. And clearly these drivers have both been, Whitworth and Carlisle have just been bolted together throughout this entire race and have been side by side so many times, and you just got to think that the tempers are now starting to flare. It certainly was there going down the front straight over the stripe, with them weaving all over the circuit. So I think this is going to come right down to the wire, and I think you're quite right. Get the popcorn ready.
Yeah, separated just a little bit, but I'm sure they're going to catch up with each other very soon. And
Mike Dam's nibbled a little bit back there. He's now back to under 0.4 of a second, as they got a little bit of lap traffic to worry about there, who goes straight on. Very noble indeed. And Elvis Rankin, all of a sudden, he's got Mike Dam for company. Elvis Rankin's on the radio. We don't know what it is that he's saying there. Probably saying thank you to the driver for the back of the field there for pulling over. Very gentlemanly indeed, I'm sure. As they head into the chute, heading towards the toe of the boot, and all of a sudden it's game on. Mike Dam is right there.
Yeah, definitely was a thank you, as Brockway actually gave himself a penalty for doing that. He just went straight through the bus stop.
Just making sure just right out of the way. And the thing is, when that is something that you should really be commended. If you're a slower driver and everybody's doing their best and trying to run their own race, and when the leaders come through at what seems like warp factor 9, if you're running your own race and you can afford to get out the way and maybe cost yourself some time for an all-around cleaner event, it can be well worth it. The amount of times where you see slower drivers, for whatever reason, pride or whatever, try to block the leaders, it usually ends up in tears for somebody, if not everybody, so it's not worth it at all. Speaking of ending up in tears, here's the TCR battle, and they are just jabbing each other in the nose, left, right and centre. So they're coming up behind a GT4 car. I actually think they're closing on this GT4 car almost. They're just so on it here. Whitworth and Carlisle, absolutely nothing to separate them on the timesheets, and I suspect we're going to see some pink and green paint being traded very soon.
Yeah, you're saying sweat and tears. Well, there's another item that we might need to add very soon: blood, sweat, and tears, as this battle is about to get nasty. But if they keep battling like this, in the background coming down that straight, it is Ken Ladd. He might be in a surprise second or maybe first place if this gets a little bit too nasty to each other.
Well, I think you've got to imagine that Whitworth and Carlisle, they're in such a close battle that they're not going to be thinking about anything else other than this very moment on track. They're not going to be even considering what is going on behind them, I wouldn't suspect, because every last bit of their brain power will be required. And a GT4 car! Oh my word, a GT4 car, number 20 there. Now, who is that? That is number 20. I'm looking across my notes here. Oh, forgive me, folks. I'm looking to see who that was. But one of the GT4 cars getting in the middle, almost like the school teacher. Sorry, say again, sorry?
That is Weatherholt. He's in fifth place right now.
He's getting in there saying, now, gentlemen, you just calm down now. This is motorsport. This is what we're talking about here. This isn't a stock car punch-up, but I think that's what's going to happen anyway.
This is going into Whitworth now, and Carlisle gets to the back of him.
Oh dear.
I think Weatherholt might have a death wish.
He's done his job as the peacemaker. He's tried to be the diplomat. Oh, we got another GT4 coming in here. That's the 31
That's car. Spot, and Carlisle and Whitworth almost getting it together. That GT4 forcing Carlisle a bit wide. Whitworth, not both his opportunities are being taken up here, but he does have that preferred line, and that is Martineau, who's just sitting in between these two, and I don't know who's going to be more upset. Carlisle, who has to who has the faster car behind him, or Whitworth, who has this car in between him. And well, the difference in entering these lines are much different for each of these cars, and Whitworth is definitely having to check up. He's using that GT4 has a little bit of a draft to try to pick his way through there, but Carlisle definitely better line from that GT4 than what happened to Whitworth.
Yeah, Cameron Martineau there having a go at trying to be the peacemaker, the diplomat between these two TCR runners, but back they go again, glued together, and I think Whitworth's got a run here. I think he might have got a run on Carlisle. Let's see. Oh my word, here we go. Get your, I hope you've got the popcorn at hand. Oh, bump drafting. Brandon Whitworth goes to the outside as they come into the bus stop. Carlisle slides it in there on the brakes. They hop over the curb, and I'm sure Carlisle will just be taking it nice and gently there, going through the bus stop, parking his Audi RS3 on the apex as they head through, absolutely glued together, heading down into the chute. I have to say, this battle is top notch.
Did you see on how sideways Carlisle got to slow that TCR down? For a moment, I thought we were watching Formula Drift.
Yeah, it was almost like he was doing a stoppie going into the the bus stop there. The back of the car just pogoing around, and that's touring car racing for you. Cars which you'll see every day driving to the local supermarket. Yeah, put a couple of wings and a spoiler and a decent engine in them, and there's a touring car, and let them race. Well, I think we are just about to see an atomic explosion come off here between Whitworth and Carlisle, and all the while at the front, Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin are still battling away for the GT4 lead.
Now this battle is actually separated. Elvis Rankin has put in some honks of a lap. Lap after lap, I think is consistently about a tenth faster every now and then ahead of Mike Dam. But one thing is, their best laps identical. As we go back to the fireworks store between Carlisle and Whitworth. Carlisle staying onto the inside, Whitworth looking around the outside. Some good old sprint class racing happening right now as Whitworth, he's got to run. Carlisle in that Nerdworks machine. Ooh, I believe that is going to be a very, very tasty sandwich that these two are going for. Carlisle defending onto the inside, Whitworth looking around the outside. Who's going to be last breakers? It's going to be Carlisle, and Whitworth just letting Carlisle take that lead, trying to force some mistake there as a DTD esports driver, trying to force any move that he can.
I wonder what D2D stands for. Dare to dive. That's what he's got to do. He's got to dare to dive up the inside, and I think he will. As Carlisle, well, Carlisle's, you got to take your hat off to him. He has done an amazing job making that Audi RS3, well, as wide as an Audi RS6. Because it's Whitworth just cannot find a way by. Some slightly dirty tactics driving over down the front straight, a little bit of brake checking, but we haven't seen it again since, so hopefully we won't see it again. Is Kevin Carlisle now leading, going into the heel of the boot. Now, where is Whitworth going to make his move? You know he's going to make a move somewhere, but where is it going to be? He's now just stalking Carlisle. I suspect he might try it down into the 90 of turn 1. Let's see.
I think he wants him to think that, and I think he might show him a dummy and try to catch Carlisle a bit off guard. So I won't be surprised if Whitworth looks down the inside and then the last moment just breaks a bit earlier and try to catch Carlisle off guard as they go all the way to the pit wall, back outside. Whitworth had a great run. Carlisle staying down to the inside. Whitworth's going to have a great run coming out of turn 1 right now. They're dancing on the bumper.
You called the dummy there, Austin. I almost sold him the dummy there. Carlisle almost outbraked himself, but I think Whitworth basically tricked him into doing that. Pulled over to the wide side, got a good entry and exit, and look at this. This is massive bump drafting now. Oh, this is going to end in tears. Oh my goodness me. Whitworth goes to the outside to go around the outside at the bus stop. Will that work? Kevin Carlisle parks the car on the apex. Strange there from Whitworth. They didn't go for the inside, but anyway, he's got the plan, and he is right on the exhaust pipe of Kevin Carlisle in that 727 Apex Racing Team machine.
Well, if you look down to the inside in the bus stop, it's going to actually slow you down more because it's not giving you a good entry heading into the chicane of the bus stop. In the classic round, you can look down to the inside. That's for that long right-hand turn as Whitworth looking down to the inside of the toe. But Carlisle's already there, and he's launched himself inside of the toe like some toe fungus, and he's not leaving that first spot. Whitworth looking down to the inside, trying to go into the heel. Whitworth, Carlisle, side by side, almost banging doors. The Dare to Dream esports car and the Nerdworks Apex Racing T car still going side by side as they're exiting the boot. Carlisle onto the inside, Whitworth looking around the outside, and Carlisle still in first place with just around 11 minutes to go here at the Glen.
Well, I have to say I can't wait to speak to these guys after the race. It's going to be very special indeed to get their opinion on this. Looked like Whitworth had the corner there and Carlisle turned in and a little bit of contact. Brilliant save from Kevin Carlisle, and I think maybe Whitworth just let him go back by again. Didn't want to have the push to pass. But oh yes, they do. You're right. Well spotted, Austin. Just Kevin. I've never heard your voice so high. Kevin Carlisle just getting a little bit of a tap, and look at the gap now.
That was more instinctful than and reactive than actually commentating. That was getting on my nerves. I thought they were going to crash right there as that GT4 just storms past them. I think we might see a little bit of damage on Whitworth's car now.
Yeah, maybe.
But that GT4 playing into Whitworth's hand.
Yeah, that's just what Whitworth needs, just to kind of slow them up. And of course, although the TCRs are just like 2 or 3 seconds a lap slower than the GT4, they do make their lap time in a different way. The GT4 is a little bit quicker in a straight line, but through the corners and through certain corners, actually the TCR cars are slightly faster.
Yeah, TCR's amazing acceleration on these pieces, but I really want to get a gearbox cam, our rear bumper cam on Whitworth to see if we can spot any damage from Carlisle, because I don't see any damage from our external cameras, but I want to see if we can find anything in that front right region of that car.
Looks okay to me, and of course these tuning cars are designed to get a little bit of rough and tumble, and actually, considering how close these drivers have raced one another, actually there's been relatively little contact in relative terms compared to tuning car racing normally. But there's a lot of GT4 cars now. We talked about the GT4 cars having their race slightly affected maybe by TCRs, but actually it's the other way around. The TCR leaders having the GT4 pack making their way through, and that is really affecting this battle. So Whitworth right back in the draft again. We've seen Whitworth be very, very strong through turn 1, and that is a good corner to be strong at, because that gives a great run heading up all the way towards the bus stop. So Carlisle punched on Apex. Whitworth, here we go, it's on now.
Oh, you're just going to be hearing excited giggling for the next 10 minutes. I can guarantee it. Carlisle and Whitworth dancing on each other's bumpers. And Whitworth has an amazing run right now. He's going to try to fake down to the inside, looking around the outside now. They're almost side by side. I'm really waiting for Whitworth just to absolutely send it around the outside and just challenge for that bus stop chicane. But with all this battling, the white TCR of Ken Ladd is slowly pulling closer. Last time we checked in on him, 6 seconds. Now it's 4.
Yep, Ken Ladd, he's now going to be able to see Carlisle and Whitworth ahead of him, and this is spurring him on in his epilepsy awareness machine. Oh, Colin Weatherholt in the number 20 coming up the inside. Oh no, just getting overtaken actually. That's the number 31 of Martineau going by. So that's for a top 5 position. Good move there from Martineau over Weatherholt.
Yeah, those two have been with each other, but
what do we have here? Brandon Whitworth. Oh, he forces Carlisle to go deep on the brakes. Carlisle leaves a little bit of space on the exit there. Can Whitworth cut back? He's got an opportunity here to cut in the inside. No, doesn't, decide against it. Oh, dearie me, this Whitworth, what's his plan? I just cannot figure it out, Austin.
You know, some of these drivers, they're rocket scientists in their own way strategy-wise, and their strategy is absolutely insane. Wait till the last moment, then heat.
Yeah, if you can imagine the speed and the brain power required.
Oh my goodness,
the speed and the brain power to square. Brandon Whitworth goes round the outside, heading into the 90. Carlisle moves over on the brakes. That's okay. And then Whitworth gets the cutback. Here he goes. Now he's got a little bit of gap. What did we say about side by side through the S's? Here we go. They're going to bang wheels. They do. Whoa, Carlisle goes so wide. He'll have to come out the gas, surely. Tucks in behind Whitworth. Whitworth is through as he gets through at last, but Carlisle's not done just yet.
Carlisle and Whitworth nose to tail right now. Shiflett is behind them and down the inside into the bus stop. A send from downtown New York City all the way from Manhattan. Carlisle's back in the lead. And you're going to see on how squirrely that back end is and on how dangerous that dive was. But Kevin Carlisle sends it back in there from second for the first time, I believe, today. Actually, no, not from second. But it sure seems like he was in second. But what a dive down to the inside, and what a defensive move he does once again into the toe of the boot. And these two GT4 cars, they're not even attempting to pass these guys now. They're watching this with intent of a good show, and because around the outside, Whitworth and Carlisle drag racing into the heel of this boot, scoot, and boogie. Last 5-minute battle between each other. Carlisle, Whitworth, a little no swappage right there. Carlisle defending out to the inside, Whitworth around the outside. This long tricky left-hander into the short chute they go.
Oh, and Carlisle's wide. Carlisle putting a wheel on the grass there. Will Whitworth have a look up the inside here? Oh, it'll be a big move. He did check up a little bit. Carlisle gets the run. He's maybe just thinking about coming through the GT4 cars. They might be getting the hurry on from the steward to go by, but you're right. I think they were just giving a bit of room watching this panel going, oh my goodness me, you guys can get on with it. But look at that. There's the GT4 cars now starting to move by. Uh-oh, this is not good. Kevin Carlisle dancing on the brakes. Oh dear, oh my. Oh, they used them as the pick. Whitworth goes inside, but oh my word, how did they get around there? The GT4 car too, oh dear. Oh my word. This is absolutely bananas. Hey, Austin, you think we're going to get on the top 10 of the month on iRacing? I think we might.
I think we might get on some other clip where my voice just absolutely dies. Because this is an amazing battle between these these two drivers, but these GT4s are becoming a part of this battle because he's not speeding up. He cannot speed up. The underpowered Porsche cannot exit this, and Carlisle's probably shaking his fist. Get out of the way! I'm in the battle for the lead right here with 4 minutes to go and getting into the grass. Whitworth thinking that this is a rally stage, and this ding-dong battle is allowing Ladd an even more room to close up. We might have a 3-car fight for the lead very soon.
I don't know how much more we can take. That GT4 car, that's Jacob Beasley, who's one of our championship contenders in the GT4 category. He's having to drive on qualifying pace to get past these DCR cars. I have to say, this is just absolutely extraordinary driving from Carlisle and Whitworth. Some of the best racing I have ever seen on iRacing.com. This is such a treat. 3 minutes to go as Carlisle and Whitworth is on the bumper. Goodness me, you got to feel for Beasley in the 154 Porsche. He'll be wanting to try and get that car opened up and stretch it down the straight, but these two TCRs are right in the draft. Oh, they're weaving around all over the place. Is Whitworth going to have a go? He sells the dummy, he goes wide, he likes that line. Is Carlisle going to try and park it on the apex? He will. Will Whitworth get the cutback? He's gone for that a few times. Carlisle goes really wide and whoa, nearly takes his nose off, and we know that too wide doesn't work going into the S's. Whitworth knows that. He stays in behind Carlisle for now.
This is an amazing battle, diving all the way across this track. I don't think there's a piece of tire that these guys haven't gone on today, because they're both on the very bottom line, heading into the bus stop chicane. Whitworth looking around the outside. Big dive heading into the bus stop, and Carlisle not bigger than he did to get back in the first place, but they're still battling it out, and I think I spot the leader. Nope, those were not the leaders, but it's more GT4 cars just joining the queue of this battle now as Whitworth and Carlisle. 2 minutes remain. Are we going to see another move from Carlisle? Try to outsmart Whitworth right here. It's going to be a strength of driver skill, driver smarts, and just driver control right here. I think we're about to see a big old honking move heading into this heel, because out of the corner comes Whitworth. He's got a great run. They're side by side, door to door, wheel to wheel, mirror to mirror. Dive from Carlisle into the heel, and it's a switchback move from Whitworth. And now there's still silence about Whitworth. He's made it into first, and coming out of the boot, Whitworth is in the lead of the TCR category with just 1 minute to go. White flag is in the air.
So white flag then. This is all coming down to it with Whitworth and Carlisle. Carlisle, remember, he is really strong at the bus stop. Let's see. We haven't seen this. Whitworth has been the one who's been behind most of the time. Look at the GT. You're right. The GT4 runners behind are going, do we go by? Do we not? We can't go by. Whitworth has to go really defensive there. That's going to kill his run onto the straight. And look at Carlisle. He gets a brilliant run. Is he going to try and go side by side through the S's? That's not advisable, but he is bump drafting Whitworth. And I tell you what, whoa! Goodness me, you can see the holes in the radiator there. My goodness me, Whitworth is on the back. He's just got Carlisle on his bumper.
Oh no!
We know it. Oh, he gets over. Shot. No! Ken Ladd's gonna get by. Ken Ladd's gonna get by. That was always gonna happen. Whitworth and Carlisle are in the wall. You knew that was a possibility. And here goes Matthew Warner.
Oh,
Huge damage for Carlisle and Whitworth. That is such a shame.
Oh yeah, and Elvis Rankin just won the race.
I'm so sorry. I must apologise. Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam. We had to stay on that. Oh my word. I'm so sorry. Elvis Rankin, your winner then in GT4. Well done, sir. Holding off Mike Dam. Wow. You're not sure about sim racing? I refer you to that battle there. That was absolutely hair-raising entertainment here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. What did you see here, Austin?
I did say Ladd was just in the right moment if this went nasty, and this was a beautiful switchback move. The 42 Dream to Drive car down onto the inside switchback and then wonderfully defended, but this just ignited a flame from Kevin Carlisle that I've not seen before. They're bump drafting through these corners, they're rubbing, they're banging, and just, have you played with magnets? They sometimes repel if you try to bump draft into them. That's like bump drafting through the S's, and if we get a nose cam on Brandon Whitworth, I think we're going to see on how much he was. Look how much speed he carried through that corner. Carlisle checked. Whitworth checked up a lot as Carlisle, bump drafted through the S's. This was only going to end out one way, and it was just nasty. He hooked him right there. They were both defending onto the inside, but the bump off the exit, and no, they got hooked together right there.
Yeah, when he had that bump, he should have come out the throttle there for both of their benefit. They both really struggled, and yeah, Carlisle just kept his foot in the gas, and that was when he saw Whitworth start to turn. He kept it going, and we all know why he wanted to do that. But my word, what a battle! And well done, Elvis Rankin, and well done, Ken Ladd, the number 49 Maverick Motorsports. He's watching it going, I've got a chance here. I'm just going to sit here and watch. And in the Epilepsy Awareness Machine RS3 LMS, he is your winner here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Now, before we go to official results, we do have a short message from our sponsor Ricmotech that we had to completely skip over because of that battle. So we will take a very brief break here on Apex Racing TV before we go for official results. And here's a very brief message from our sponsor Ricmotech. Welcome back to Watkins Glen International Raceway for the Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment Sports Car Series, presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. What an absolute thriller of a race, with Elvis Rankin putting together a flawless performance to win the GT4 category, and Ken Ladd, on your screen right now, number 49, sitting there in third position, closed down the leaders as they started to really get into a bit of a punch-up together, which eventually came together on the last lap in one of the most eventful races you're ever likely to see in the real or virtual world. Let's have a look then at our official results of the race as we get a moment to to get our breath back.
Well, Elvis Rankin takes the win ahead of Mike Dam and Aeronom, your top three. And then it was an absolute... These top three guys in the GT4s pulled out an absolute gap ahead of Paul Gibson, Cameron Martin, Colin Weatherholt. And I believe the real stars of the show are the ones just behind that TCR battle. And that was Cameron Bidwell and Jacob Beasley. They were in a fight, and they stopped the fight. And they just watched that race happen. And behind them is Tyler Shiflett, Kevin C. Ford, David Payton, Travis Schwenke, Jordan Feike, Jeff Jacobs, Derek Holland, Trent Brown, Russ Ruddock, and Brennan Horn in 18th. They're followed by Arthur Chan, Chris Shieldsmith, Jennifer McDonald, Greg Brockway, Anthony Kernan, Matthew Gosh, Leon Wright, and Chris Thorman in 26th. And on to Peter for the TCRs.
Well, the TCRs, can you believe this? If you tuned in and switched off before the end, well, this will surprise you. Ken Ladd, your winner, number 49, winning this race from Matthew Warner in the 046 Sunshine Autos machine. Running at the podium was Brandon Whitworth, who was involved in that last lap crash in the 42 machine. Kevin Carlisle behind him in the 727 car. Right behind him, Tyler Vickery in 5th, Henderson Knox in 6th, Edgar Sanchinelli in 7th, and in 8th, Matthew Madigan. So although we had a small TCR field, we were absolutely spoiled for action. So, almost our forgotten man, number 54, Elvis Rankin, who drove the flawless race, and he deserves a bit of TV time now. So let's get Elvis Rankin up here in the commentary booth. He is with my good colleague, Austin Knight.
Elvis, congrats on the win. It was a very controlled race for you. It was just you and Mike, a little bit of Aeronom in there, but you and Mike raced each other's race. You both went into the pits at the same time, and then you pulled out a great move and just stayed in the lead ever since.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was not an easy race, I'll tell you that much. Right at the start, we were just trying to see if I could help Mike a little bit to break arrows, then we could just have a race right at the end. And then there was at one point in the race where Mike broke a second out for me with the traffic, and I ran him down really fast. I knew I had a pretty good pace in my number 1 Porsche Little King Racing car, and then I decided the time was right. So into turn 1, I think I made the right choice on move. I would rather have been leading the race than following, for sure.
Well, you spent a lot of time following for that first entire stint, by the way, and we were complimenting on how patient you were, because if we were in your case, we would just absolutely send it into every kind of corner that we thought. Where did you learn patience like that?
Yeah, it's something that I felt like from the Global Mazda MX-5 series at Extreme Motorsports, the Classic Sprint series. I've learned a lot. That's really a lot of pack racing, so you got to have the really nice patience to be able to pull off a good finish there. I think that just translated today, especially with how huge the draft was.
Well, patience is a virtue, and I'm glad to see that developing in you already. But before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, for sure. I want to first thank Mike Dam. He ran me super hard, super clean. I'm going to tell you, I was drenched in sweat after that one. It was so much fun. My mom, my dad, my grandpa for keeping me, supporting me on sim racing and in real racing. I can't thank them enough. All the sponsors that keep us on the track in the real world. And then Extreme Motorsports 99, Kevin Ford, Jeff Jacobs, Russ Ruddock, Bobby Childs for doing an amazing job adminning this series. We couldn't do it any without them. And then you guys, Apex Racing TV, for broadcasting the thing and allowing us to go back and watch our either funny race or really good race.
Well, it was a great race for you. P1 here today for the Sports Car Series. You have yourself a good night, Elvis. And Peter, I believe you're standing by with Ken Ladd, right?
I am indeed. Ken Ladd, our TCR winner. I'm almost still can't get over the fact I'm saying that. Ken, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your win in that TCR race. Tell us all about your view from the driver's seat coming into those final laps.
Oh man, was it it was a good race. I'll tell you that much. Get go or out of the get go, I should say. That last lap. I mean, it was after hunting those guys down. Closing that gap with them battling, me trying to draft off one of the Porsches out there. Just to see them kind of battling so hard that they ended up collecting each other is a little bit of a shame. So it's a bittersweet win, but nonetheless, it is what it is, I guess.
Oh, a thoroughly deserved win. And when it was coming into those last couple of laps, did you get to a point where you almost decided to stand at a safe distance, or were you just trying to make the gap as small as you possibly could and try and get up to those top guys to battle for the win?
It was a aim to actually get up there. That was a good close qualifying time and practices. We were all running, maybe half of a second between us all. So I mean, it was just it was a really close battle. So I would have loved to see a 1-2-3 battle for sure on that last lap.
Well, perhaps next time we'll get it. Now, I noticed that on your car, you run a livery for epilepsy awareness. Can you tell us a little bit about that while you're live here on Apex Racing TV?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I know some people know more so on the road side or the oval side. Sorry. Myself, I had brain cancer back when I was 23. Had it removed the whole 9 yards, and then got hit with epilepsy. So now I purposely, at least on iRacing and a lot of places, I run a epilepsy paint scheme to hopefully spread awareness to people. It can really change somebody's life. I used to be a former truck driver. I used to work in automotive shops, mechanic wise, and it's devastating to somebody who does any kind of really mechanical work or logistical work in regards of driving when you do get diagnosed with epilepsy, because it really will turn your life upside down. So I thought, what can I do to kind of help spread awareness to it? So I decided to, make a paint, and hopefully we see it up here more often, I should say.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to seeing that more often. What a wonderful cause and what a wonderful drive to P1 today. Ken, before we let you go, is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to live on Apex Racing TV?
Again, just a shout out to the Epilepsy Foundation. If you can go spread some awareness. Go donate. They do some charity events like some walks and stuff like that. They may have one around your area that you can contribute to. Other than that, of course, shout out to Maverick Motorsports, all the guys on the roadside that may or may not watch, of course, but just shout out to all of them, I guess.
Well, thank you very much for coming to join us in the commentary box, and congratulations on the win. Go and enjoy it.
Yep. Thanks to you guys, and thanks for making this possible and broadcasting, guys. I think we all appreciate it.
Oh, it's been our pleasure. So, finally, I see in the waiting room we have our second place finisher in GT4, Mike Dam, and he is with my esteemed colleague, Austin Knight.
Oh, Mike, how was that race?
Oh, that was a really fun one. That was really tight between me and Elvis there, and Elvis was insanely fast tonight. I think the difference maker was he didn't make a mistake, so that's pretty hard to beat.
You had a very good start, and I can say your first stint was pretty much flawless. You led Elvis all the way to the pit stops and then some. What was your strategy going into this race?
Obviously, it was good to get on the pole position there and got a good start to the race. I think Elvis and my goal was to beat Eero. He's been fast for a long time, so anytime you can get, it's a pretty good race. Elvis was being pretty nice to me. I could tell a couple spots I messed up, and he didn't force the issue. So we were both trying to just make that gap to make it a 2-car race at that point, and that seemed to work.
Well, it seemed you achieved your goal. Nevertheless, you beat Aeronam, and it was an absolutely wonderful battle and show y'all gave out there on track. A very nice and clean show. I don't think y'all touched once.
No, I don't think so. I had a clean car at the end there. So, but
well,
yeah,
I can tell you, whoever paints your cars is gonna be very happy about that.
yes, yeah. It's just a good race by Elvis. I was pushing hard at the end, but yeah, he didn't make a mistake. So that's a awesome finish by him. All
right. Well, congrats on a well-deserved podium. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, just all the guys who race in this league. Kevin and Jeff, the admins, for putting this on. It's a great time. And Frank at Ricmotech for sponsoring us. Yeah, it's great sim equipment there. So, and thanks to you guys for broadcasting.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Mike, and you go have yourself a good night. Now, Peter, we have ourselves a little bit of a situation. We have 2 drivers in our waiting room that are pretty much what this entire chat and buzzing chat has been about. Now, do you want to interview them at the same time, or should we do it separately?
I think separately is a good idea. So why don't we get we'll go in numerical order. Let's get number 42, Brandon Whitworth, in the booth, and let's have a chat. Brandon, welcome to the commentary box. I have to say that is one of the most exciting races I've ever called in my career. Tell us what it was like from your driver's seat.
It was pretty exciting. Yeah, I noticed in the end of the first stint I was a little bit faster than Carlisle at the end of the stint, so I started pushing him pretty hard there with about 20 minutes to go, trying to get him to use up his tires, and we had a good battle.
Certainly, you win the prize for the understatement of the episode. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, of course, let's talk about the last lap. How do you read that incident on the final lap going up the back straight? What's your account of that incident?
I don't know if you guys are familiar with there's an iRacing glitch with the new damage model, and that bit us. Because if you look at the replay, his car was actually inside of my car, and once that happened, he tried to back off and it just all fell apart. Because we've been doing that the whole race. We bump each other a little bit down the straights, no issues. And then, of course, on the last lap, it was an issue. We had to have an issue, right? So, oh well. What are you going to do? Tell iRacing to fix it? Maybe they'll listen.
You were definitely playing with fire with knowledge of that happening, but it was definitely setting up some absolute fireworks for us up there in the booth, and definitely Peter mentioned it was a top 10 moment. It definitely feels like a iRacing top 10 moment of this month. That was a absolutely amazing battle we witnessed here today.
Yeah, it was a good one. I like racing with Carlisle. We get to do that kind of stuff, and it makes a good broadcast, right?
It made our job very easy, Brandon, that's for sure. It was super. We didn't have to make it sound exciting because it was incredibly exciting. Now, while we've got you live here on Apex Racing TV, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to after that amazing battle?
Give a shout out to our sponsor, Proformer Elite Texas Graphics, Ricmotech for putting on the league, and D2D Esports. Gotta give a shout out to the team.
Well, thanks so much for coming to join us in the commentary box after such a big incident on the last lap, Brandon. We'll look forward to speaking to you again in a few weeks' time, I'm sure.
Thanks, guys.
So let's get number 72, Kevin Carlisle's view of of his race. Kevin, welcome to the commentary box here on Apex Racing TV. I have to say, it was certainly entertaining for Austin and I, calling that battle between you guys. Tell us what it was like from your driver's seat.
Oh man, I gotta give hats off to Brandon. He 10 out of 10 deserved to win that race. I was driving so defensively. He was so much faster than me. But there at the last lap, I was trying to tap him down the straightaway so I could hopefully make him miss his braking zone. and I knew that was my only shot of actually getting back around him because everywhere else he was just faster than me. And somehow we got pulled together. I don't know if it's a racing glitch or I don't know what had happened. I should have just backed off, but we got pulled together, and I couldn't get off of his bumper, and it wound up taking us both out. That was I take the blame for it. I could have easily backed off, but I was just fighting. You know, it was a 30 minutes of just fighting. I'm sweating. I swear I've lost 10 pounds of sweat just trying to stay in front of the guy. It was awesome.
Well, it certainly was indeed, and very noble indeed to call that one. It goes through such a close battle, so many back and forward moves, and yeah, an absolute thrill for us to call in the commentary box. And is there anyone, while we've got you here live on Apex Racing TV, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, definitely. You guys at Apex Racing TV, I used to be on the team. It's an awesome organization. Hats off to you guys putting on a good show. Extreme Motorsports 99, they put on a really good series. Hats off to Brandon for the good race. Hats off to the boys, Backwards, Goose, and Undead. And thanks to Matthew Madigan for giving me a spot there. It was awesome. Good fun.
Well, thank you very much for coming to join us, Kevin, and hopefully we'll see you again up here in the commentary box very soon. So that was Kevin Carlisle, our fourth place finisher in TCR, and of course involved in that amazing scrap for the win on the last lap there. So we're getting close to the end of the broadcast here on Apex Racing TV for the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, but let's take a look of what you can expect in the next few weeks in the Ricmotech paddock. So coming up next will be on the Monday, the 27th of July, 8 p.m. Eastern. We head to Canada for Circuit Gilles Villeneuve on the streets of Montreal for a 60-minute race in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. So that's with our MX-5 Miatas and Ford Mustangs as well. In 2 weeks' time, we head to Zolder in Belgium, the other significant circuit in Belgium. A really nice old-school layout, not too dissimilar to Watkins Glen, for the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series. And that is also Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern on August the 3rd. In a couple of weeks' time, we also, on August the 10th, we head also to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the next round of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Proformer Elite Texas Graphics. And, well, if you enjoyed today's broadcast as much as we did, make
on replay, and I hope y'all enjoyed that race too. And can it be 3 weeks from now already? Because I can't wait to see the next installment of this series.
Yeah, it's going to be very special indeed. And I have to say, young Elvis Rankin, 13 years old, you hear him on the interview there. He drove an incredibly flawless race, and such a young man with a very mature head on his shoulders, always remembering to thank his parents and family for the help in real world motorsport. And it's always nice to see a mature young man like that, who with an amazing skill behind the wheels. So Elvis Rankin, a name to watch out for in the future. That's all we've got time for here on Apex Racing TV and Ricmotech. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching, and we shall see you next time, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern.